Live soon. Oh, we are live now. We are live right now.
What? Oh shit!
Yeah.
Did you just push the live button? Hold on a second. Let
I
me
sure
fucking.
I sure did. Hello and welcome to the show. We unexpectedly went live. I mean, we expected it, but it just happened a little quicker than we thought. But this week we got some major news about a shakeup coming to Marvel Comics.
Oh, we out? Shaking up, maybe?
Not the way you were shaking up last night.
Oh, my fault. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe a shakeup that's going to percolate a little bit
more
longer.
more like the white people shake up that you were trying to go to last night.
Done
Yeah.
it. Done it. Done it. Done it. Yo, what's up, guys?
That's getting clipped. Yeah, what's up, chat? Hello and welcome. Welcome.
Still said the sound works. We're good to go.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, welcome back, Sylv.
Yeah, welcome, Sylv. Good to see you. Good to see everybody this morning. As we talk about the shakeup coming to Marvel, Tom Breevort, the editor extraordinaire. Well, I said Heather was the editor extraordinaire last week, and that's true. But Tom Breevort is the 25-year veteran, 25-plus year veteran of editing Marvel Comics. And Tom has a new job. It's not enough to just be the VP of publishing / executive editor, because now Tom Breevort is going to be moving on from the Avengers to the X-Men.
Okay. Taking off one hat, putting on the other.
Yes.
And he's a man known for his hats.
A man known for many hats. He's taking off the A hat, putting on the X hat. And that means a lot. Your faces didn't light up when I said Tom Breevort is moving to the X-Men. But that's very significant. And that's what we're going to be talking about here. We're going to be talking about why it's significant that Tom Breevort is moving to the X-Men, what it means for the Avengers, what it means for the X-Men, and their MCU debut.
I think that's the thing. Our faces didn't light up because we're sort of waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah. we know your bag, Sean. We know what you're doing.
What do you mean? I didn't do anything.
We know something's gonna come. We're gonna throw an opinion out there, and then Sean's gonna go, but this, and then we're gonna go.
Yeah, right.
Well, all right. I guess we'll dive into it here now. So again, Tom Breevort has been the man behind the Avengers for 25 years.
Wow.
He's seen them through pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a very, very long history. So let's see. I've been reading comics since I'm 13, 14. And that's right around the start of maybe like 14, 15. But that's where Civil War was starting to kind of cook up. Right, it's right in the middle of like the Avengers Disassembled, the Bendis era. And that was about almost 20 years ago. And Breevort was already there.
Deep in already.
Yeah, so he saw them from Disassembled and somewhat before that, through Civil War, through Secret Invasion, through Siege, through the Heroic Age, through Secret Wars, the Hickman era.
Yep.
Everything. The Aaron era, which, things got a little shaky, but he's been there. He's the one who saw the Avengers rise from, frankly, middling characters, because Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, these were not major characters in Marvel before the Bendis, but also the Breevort era. And those are the characters that drove the success of the MCU. So he deserves, obviously, a lot of credit for keeping that all together. And a lot of people have said, well, what is Tom Breevort's style? What can we expect when he gets to the X-Men. Who knows? Because all those writers are very different.
Yeah. Who's the current X-Men editor?
It's Tom Breevort. Or X-Men. I'm sorry. I keep swapping them. Jordan D. White.
Jordan D. White. Okay.
That's right. And he's been around for a while too.
Jordan's been around for a while, and Jordan has been holding it down on the X side of things since 2018, maybe even earlier than that, I think.
Okay.
That's not as long as I would have thought.
Yeah, on the X line, it's been a little while.
Well, that makes sense. They were sort of negging them, so
Yeah.
why have an editor
of course.
Right.
committed?
Yeah, so
But to your point, though, I see like the connection. Then, this has a storied career that he helped launch through the iterations of MCU or post MCU, and now, now that it's been dropped in the show, the Marvels are coming out, so maybe we're gonna get something more associated to mutants, right? Potentially, the Wolverine Deadpool movie is gonna be planned out and coming out, so you kind of want to have somebody behind or at the helm who is familiar with, well, this is how we distinguish in comics, this is how we distinguish in film, potentially. I don't know if that's how the sauce was getting made necessarily, but I feel like that logic makes sense. I as the head at Marvel want this person who has his career, has his experience to come onto this line. And, editing aside, their priority is the cohesion, not necessarily the editing. That's interesting.
I think that's the bigger issue more than the MCU. Breevort's focus, to my understanding, because this, his career was around way longer than the MCU was ever a twinkle in anybody's eye. I think the X line has a lot of potential in this new status quo, and I think Hickman knew that. And if Hickman were able to stay, I think he could have guided the ship. But I think there's been a loss of cohesion, and nobody's been able to tap into that. But I think if Breevort can right that ship and make it feel like one unit, then the X-Men can move forward in a meaningful way, as opposed to all these separate random events that just keep climbing on top of each other.
And I think that's a very interesting thing to tackle. And I want to give it just a moment because I want to refer to Tom Breevort's Facebook message, where listen, the dude's been around. We established that, so he's still he
uses Facebook.
Yeah, he's still making his announcements on Facebook.
Update his status, bro.
So he said there's been a bunch of chatter this week concerning the, quote, secret mission that Dan Buckley spoke with me about that got mentioned in my newsletter. Some of it is pretty funny. Then he makes a joke about becoming the editor-in-chief, which isn't happening. No, the big story is that after a quarter of a century editing Avengers and its associated titles, I'm going to be moving away from those characters and titles and instead stepping into the world of mutants. Yes, that's right. I'm afraid that it's true. I'm the X. This isn't going to happen for a good while yet. I still have a ton of stuff cooking in Avengers, including next year's big crossover series that need to be seen to completion. And at the same time, current X guru Jordan White and his team have a massive story that they're in the middle of and won't run its course for a long while. What I do will grow directly out of what they're doing, provided they leave me with anything to work with. When we're closer to the switchover happening and there's something worth reporting on, you'll hear more from us. So that establishes a couple of things, I think. The primary one being is that this is not immediate. This is not happening right this minute.
Yeah.
The second thing it establishes for me, and this was teased, as he said, in the newsletter, but Dan Buckley going to him, Dan's the publisher, I'm pretty sure. Dan going to him and saying, I need you to do this. This is what we need from you. Who does Dan Buckley report to? Dan Buckley reports to Kevin Feige.
Oh.
Yeah.
There it is.
So I think that is the answer. Do I think that maybe Marvel looks at the X line and goes, "We need to do something here"?
A little cleanup. Gotta sweep around, the corners and shit.
Well, let's not beat around the bush. There are a lot of people who have wanted Krakoa to end for 4 years.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, if you're going to bring in Tom Breevort, it's not to replace Jordan White and continue to tell the stories they've been telling. So I'm here to say my big idea is that Krakoa is going bye-bye, at least in the way that it's been presented.
And we still have, the year to see how that plays out.
Right. We have at least until calendar year 2024 to see where things go. Next year's event is still being processed and put together by Tom and the team at the Avengers line. That doesn't mean that we have to wait until that event is in the running, that it's happening, in order for Tom to make the switch over. It just means that it has to be put together.
Yeah, and that editorial cycle obviously is planned out in advance, so he's doing the work now that will be coming out, months from now. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Manny goes, Orcus Gang, rise.
Unreal.
If that's the expectation, and I feel like I've been vocal from the beginning when we started, just when this was the status quo or established as the new status quo, I would be disappointed to see a regression. And I feel like now that you've sort of flagged this, it feels like regression. We had such a good advancement with Hickman's stuff, right? The X-Men took on a whole different meaning. Yeah. And I think that meaning was strong. It was, we're not gonna, like, we are placing a self in position to stay on Krakoa, build our own society and community, and have our own adventures separate from the world. And that was, I think, a stark declaration in all of the Marvel universe. I loved it. It was radical. It was new. It really pushed boundary. And so to hear, we're going from Krakoa back to fucking Westchester or something, that's not it, man. I would be tapped out. Maybe the stories are interesting, fine. I'll give you that, and I'll read, but I would be terribly disappointed to see Krakoa end.
How about you, Kale?
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. I think Krakoa presents a new, exciting status quo that, frankly, is just, it's not been tapped into properly.
Potential's still there, man.
How many stories do we have to have revolving around a school in New York? Like, and what does that mean for the X-Men going from here?
Right.
The X-Men as a story, and like what the X-Men mean.
Yeah. It's tough, and I think that the answer, what we get as an answer, which we told in the comics, will present the philosophy that Marvel has about the X-Men going forward. Because this is definitely also the chain that binds the X-Men from the comics to the X-Men of the films. I think that you get Tom Breevort to bring the synergy, not the one-to-one synergy, but just to get the line in a place that's comfortable for Feige and whatever they need things to look like, in the books, and whatever like benchmark they want the books to be hitting for the films to play from. Am I happy about the idea of Krakoa going away? No, I'm not. I'm not. I think that it was a revolution and a paradigm shift, and I don't know. I don't know if we can go back to the way things were. Not right now. It doesn't feel right, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope this is not the end of Krakoa, because I do think it's too soon.
Yeah, let us live in this for like, honestly, 10 years, man. Like I want to see, a generation born on This Is My X-Men, and I would have loved to have seen the ideals first presented by Hickman in film. They're complex, they're dense. I think that makes for a really good storyline in the movies, and it's different because we have a history of knowing what the X-Men are from some of the other films, but this would deviate and sort of challenge, I think, people who, the complaint is always, the first movie is an introduction or a origin film, and or people who have the history is like, all right, we get it, we've seen this as an introduction, but this would be different. I doubt people would complain about seeing this level of frankly ingenuity from Hickman, and the way that he set up the House and Powers of X. That in a movie, give it to me, dude. Like I would love to see the assault on Orcus, the mother mold in a film, bro. Easy.
Yeah, you're right. That would be absolutely radical. I do think that's high level X-Men stuff, though.
So
We're there. Give it to us.
but
Are we?
My-
We are.
I think that the Krakoan era means more because of the fact that we have a very good understanding of what the world is like for the mutants.
Yeah.
And the MCU has a lot of work to do because there are no mutants. So you go from no mutants at all to these are mutants that were so desperate that they set up Krakoa. Now, you could figure out a way to say, honestly,
They've been in hiding or some shit.
yeah, that's always been my thing, would be that they would say that they were in hiding. But if they haven't ever gone through the phase of oppression that we've seen throughout the comics, I don't think that it makes sense necessarily for Krakoa to happen, because they're so united in a way that only a catastrophe can make people get along this well. Like something really bad had to happen for them to be like, you know what, we need to put our differences aside. We need to get Apocalypse in this
Yo.
situation.
Nah, it's okay. The Eternals got it. They're fine. Well, the Earth's gonna end. You send in the Eternals. We're good.
So, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And I think having Tom Breevort in the position of, editor, chief editor, not editor-in-chief, but chief editor of the X-Line will help figure some of those things out. But is Krakoa the base level where you can say, okay, this is a great starting point for the mutants on film? I'm not so sure I think that.
I don't think you can do it the way Hickman did it. I don't.
Sure.
I don't think you can do it in the place where, like you said, Sean, good guys and bad guys come together. It's raining cats and dogs, et cetera, et cetera. But I wonder if you could do it and maybe make it sort of the new school, because the school ostensibly would serve the same purpose, right? They're hiding out in Westchester or whatever.
Sure. Right.
And all of a sudden they reveal themselves to the world. I think if you do that on Krakoa, you can make it this thriving ecosystem where, let's say in the first X-Men movie, we see that ecosystem become attacked.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then and that's when Krakoa is revealed to the world, and we don't have to worry about or we can work our way up to actually this is a mutant utopia and you guys should come visit us.
And to that, right? Like you could have it where Krakoa was historically made or has been a sanctuary for mutants because of the uh even back in the days of Apocalypse, because
Mm,
of the discrimination.
mm.
uh Miss Marvel is now a mutant, maybe the first uh well-known and huge mutant that they can't sort of just like scoop away and save and come in as sort of like a delegation. And to your point, Kale, you can have a generation of X-Men or a generation of mutants who have not known that discrimination now enter the world and suddenly be hated. And that would revalidate the, let's say, ideal of Magneto or Charles or even Apocalypse at that time. Like, no, we were right to have made this decision and hide away. This is what happens when we reveal ourselves.
I just don't think it's clean, and I think that's the biggest problem that the MCU is going to face.
Yeah.
Is that's not clean to me because where are they at? Like so Professor X just says, "Yo, you're in their mind. Yo, you're a mutant. Come to me now." And they just drop their life and move to Krakoa, like
That's what Jesus did.
He said,
Drop your possessions and follow me. And the guy said, "Oh, but what about my wife and what about my cows?" And he said, "Oh, you don't believe in me."
"Damn."
except Professor X has mind control.
You tell me Jesus didn't have mind control?
Might have.
I think you're right. I think you're right. But I wonder, like, what is that? I mentioned the sort of he was absolutely an omega level mutant.
100%.
Amazing. That needs to be canon, dude.
I wonder if I want. It's gotta be. I think Santa is right.
Yeah,
Like
Santa's canonically a mutant.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I wonder what like the broader conversation of like, and I mentioned this earlier. The broader conversation of what the X-Men are now. That we have Krakoa and we have this pocket era of evolution. Is it race relations? Is it bigger than race relations? Is it the next step in race relations? I wonder if taking it all the way back to, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X running a school, and bickering at each other, like, is that a step back? Are you muted? I think you're muted.
Oh, I think it is a step back to some degree, but I think that getting the mutants to a place that is familiar to audiences makes sense. But it's so crazy because you could easily just go the other way. You could say, well,
Right.
yeah, you could make it familiar, but the MCU has looked a certain way the whole time. Wouldn't it be cool to say that the mutants are on an island and give us a totally different environment for them to be in?
Yeah.
You could make that argument, and it's like, well, actually, that makes sense too. So it's a really difficult thing, and I know it's it's tough to feel bad for businesses right now, but I kind of do feel bad on the creative end for Marvel because they have a big problem to solve. It's not clean. They didn't have the mutants in 2008 or even 2012 or even 2015. Any of those times, it would have been fine. But now it's like, well, where the hell have they been? And how do you cleanly explain the fact that they haven't been here? Look at the mess, in my opinion, that Eternals was. to try to jump through hoops to explain why they didn't help with Thanos and where the hell they've been. Where the hell have the mutants been?
But I think that's more of a valid, they buggered off, you know? Like, I think that's a better, and will not intervene because, well, that's the human world kind of thing. Like, I think that's a quick, 3-sentence explanation, and we get into consequences of the reveal. In my mind, for me, that I think would be enough, and then you get context revealed as you sort of explore the world. But heard on your point, I think it's valid.
C.W. Gordon says go all the way and just have them be on Mars all this time. I think
Yo.
that I'll say this right away. I don't want to see that, but I think that is a way to do it where you say they dipped. Professor X made Earth forget that mutants exist, and that's just where they're at. But the problem with that is, what about the mutants that are on Earth that have come since the Mars,
The Marauders, and their base is Krakoa, and they're here to save people and send you through the gates back to fucking mutant paradise. A Marauders movie, I'm down. Okay, that's kind of cool.
I don't agree with all Chill's points, but he says in the chat, I'll take any explanation as long as they're here. Same with a certain Wakandan. Wakanda's a great example. They have a force field around, the city or whatever, and nobody knows about them until the mysterious white man shows up. Like, all this time.
But people, people know Wakanda exists. They just don't know what it looks like.
Right.
They assume they're
that's
poor.
fair. Yeah. Because I forgot that Black Panther's father was in the UN or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So I feel like there's a lot of work to do on the MCU end of things. Let's talk about the comics end of things again.
Sure.
Because clearly, we are in the middle of a big X epic that's been unfolding since House and Powers began in 2019 or whatever. So we've all sort of said we're not ready for it to end. But I think we've all also said we need a change. That things aren't quite feeling how they felt. And part of that is just never going to be, you can't fix it. Jonathan Hickman is not coming back.
Yeah.
And how do you take a writer's idea, a dude who had a Bible's worth of stories to tell within this world, and, dig through that and figure out a way to present his ideas and then also implement your ideas. I think it's tough. But I'm not impressed with what they've done. Truthfully, I love Immortal X-Men. I think it's great. X-Men Red, I think it's great. There may be people hearing me and you say it's biased because I love Hickman. Well, yeah, damn right I love Hickman. But I just don't think it's been as good. I just don't. I haven't been as enthralled. So something has to change. And maybe Breevort can come in and be that change that we need to right this ship. And I'm gonna stop talking, but I want to get to this super chat. Atomic Hound, thank you so much for the $9.99 super chat. X-Men suffer the same problem as Batman at DC, regardless of the context. Too many titles too many sub niche groups that dilutes the entire Marvel line. Great discussion as usual, guys. Thank you so much, and I love that point. I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
The X line of titles has the responsibility of being an anchor, just like Batman does. So what happens? They try to create titles that service various different kinds of readers. When you look at the X books right now, really, there's a book for everyone. Even if you don't like Krakoa, Marvel right now has Storm on the stands, which is I think is that by Claremont? It might be the Claremont book.
The classic stuff?
Yeah, the classic stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if it's Claremont, but it's someone of that era.
Right.
Yeah.
And Nascenti has the Jean Grey book, which ties into what's happening now, but it is aimed, I believe, at, the crowd that doesn't necessarily love Krakoa, because it is going through her past to get her through the situation that she's in. So I think there's some salience to that point where they're trying to appease multiple markets at once.
We actually talked about that on Pals Pulls, where I felt like the Dark X-Men, Alpha Flight, Uncanny, like all that's, especially with the volume of mutants in Uncanny Avengers, they all felt like just X books. And I think one of the criticisms we had talked about was, it's just a lot. It's number ones, and then am I expected to follow these post this? The quality of the individual books aside, but is the expectation now I have 3 more X books to pick up, or X-Men related books to pick up? That's a lot.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Please.
The chat is saying that, they're not going to cut the line. I'm not saying that they'll cut the line. I'm talking about consistency across the line.
Yeah.
And where the problem for me is that the books have felt very disparate. Like they're doing such different things all over the map, and it's like, it's a lot. Whereas, yes, there are a lot of Batman books and there are a lot of Batman adjacent books, but they feel like they're Batman books.
And I feel like with Breevort coming over, this could be similar to the era leading up to Civil War. In that, ideally, what he can do is sort of, not even necessarily take away books or take away, pieces on the board, but he can turn the pieces the correct way.
Yeah.
To sort of angle them all in a certain direction so that everything feels consistent. Everything has a certain feel.
Yeah.
Which I think is really what's been missing because of all these events and cut-ins and tie-ins and, thing after thing after thing. We can't get our feet on the ground.
Like, yeah, just like you're saying, like slow the pacing down for the Krakoa narrative.
Just get us all looking one way.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, Blue Spaceman says, going by the fact that they want to end or transition from Krakoa, we don't know that. That's not necessarily a fact of the situation. The only fact of the situation is that Tom Breevort is coming. And
we're in the middle of Fall of X.
Yeah. And Fall of X doesn't necessarily mean or imply end of X. It only means that right now the mutants are down. This is just a beat in the story. And the story is clearly not over, and it's clearly not going to be over for sure until at least next year. And we don't know if Breevort's arrival means the end of the Krakoan era. Have they told a lot of stories in this time frame? You're darn right they have. But keep this in mind. Hickman was ready to move on from something. The era that they were in 2021 or whatever.
Yeah. When he left.
Yeah. He was ready to move on. And they were not ready. And he had to go. So my mind has always been, since we learned that information, my mind has always been that the Krakoan era was supposed to be ending already. Because why would Hickman have had to leave 2 years ago if he was still going to be there now if they would have moved forward? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Damn, though. But then we're sacrificing that cohesion. Because I think House and Powers of X, right? Solid, all of it just tied into each other. The subsequent X-Men pieces, like X-Men proper title, all tied in, had consequences. So I think what they did was, let's, we can handle it from here, to your point, Sean, and let's see how much we can stretch this out. But honestly, though, and this reminds me of manga, like, give me the full story. If Hickman had an idea and a narrative, let that play out. Let's see how that would have gone, and that's I think the biggest shame of
I mean,
X-Men at the moment.
they'll probably still have the Bible and the documents. Like,
Yeah, but then they're extrapolating from that point on.
I mean, he's gone. Like,
Yeah.
It's a frustrating situation that I don't think is really anyone's fault.
Yeah.
But it is a loss, and it's something that we'll never get back. We'll never
Yeah.
get back, and we'll never know how things would have gone otherwise. But I have always felt that why would Hickman have wanted to move things along if he didn't have to? For the sake of the timeline that he knew that he was on. If he had to get to Gods by now, if he had to get to Ultimates by now, what would have happened, you know? It's an interesting premise. But for his part, Kieran Gillen recently commented, and I don't have it in front of me. I've read the quote associated with him a few times. I saw it on our Discord, so if anybody can verify that they also saw this, that would be great. But I saw a quote where he essentially said that his stuff is completely unaffected by Breevort coming on board, and that he's got stories that are laid out and playing out and will be playing out for the next year solidly. So I don't know if you guys didn't catch that. Am I bugging chat? Did you guys see that?
If I did or not.
Comment? Well, I mean, one of you probably posted it. One of you
Yeah,
people in the chat probably posted it, and I
I'll
saw
see
it.
if I can find it on his Tumblr.
Yeah, I tried to search, but I didn't pull anything up from Gillen.
Yeah, and you know, I want this creative team, for good or ill, I want them to be able to play their story out.
And do well.
Yeah, I don't want there to be some sort of abrupt end to this. I want it to continue on. Manny says, yeah.
Cool, thanks.
I don't want it to end prematurely. I don't feel like the story that they've been telling would end prematurely if it ended next year. I feel like Krakoa, the era itself, would end prematurely if it ended next year.
You're saying... Sorry, go ahead.
Just that, like, what started with Hoxpox, the end of that, to me, isn't necessarily the end of Krakoa. It's just the end of this particular brand of storytelling where everything is extremely interconnected and very serialized. I think you can still have Krakoa, but moving away from that idea is possible.
The quote from Gillen is, big news Marvel-wise is that Tom Breevort is moving from the Avengers office to heading the X office down the line. This is earlier than Marvel normally announces stuff, for reasons Tom describes in his newsletter. And if you're wondering how it affects our present plans, the answer is basically it doesn't. I've talked about the story I'm telling, and it's broad length, and Tom will only be in the office after that's done.
Okay.
Okay.
It's interesting that he said the story I'm telling.
Oh, that means it's going to come off at some point.
Well, I guess I pointed that out because, like, I was under the impression that there was no head of X anymore since Hickman is gone. So, you know, this is the story he is telling, the story that is broadly being told
At large,
or was he just referencing his own personal work when he said that?
Surely the X collab table there hasn't, gone away. So I'm assuming he's in part driving stuff like Hellfire, stuff like Hellfire Gala, for example.
He didn't write that though.
But I'm saying like he had some sort of hand in the craft of that narrative and that story and the consequences spilling out, because that's going to affect his books.
My understanding was that he was the driver, similar to Hickman, maybe just not as intense.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've read that he allowed, quote unquote, Jerry to do Hellfire Gala because he didn't have anything or something.
I see. They should have picked Al Ewing for that one.
Oof.
Telling me, I say allowed, for a lack of a better word.
Sure.
Yeah.
Not that Jerry had to come beg for permission or anything. No, maybe he should have.
Marvel is more than X-Men, guys, right? Yeah.
Right now?
X-Men and
well-
Spider-Man.
Yeah. Because they ain't Avengers.
Really, like, even if you
Haven't been for a while.
even if you like where Avengers have been for the last, since Hickman left, even if you've been into it, I don't really think the argument can be made that it's as big as it was for the Avengers since Hickman left.
Yeah.
And they got to do something about that, but it's like once the movies got hot and caught lightning, it's like, whatever, we can do whatever we want with the Avengers now. We don't have to work to build towards something incredible. But the overall trajectory of Marvel is a conversation we will definitely have on a different day. Chillmonger says the next year of X-Men comics will be like the last year of DC films, dead in the water. I don't agree with that. I don't think this is as dire of a situation, especially because we don't know what's coming next. Whereas, the argument could be made. I think DC had to talk about what they were gonna be doing because things were going so badly. But at the same time, we do know that it killed this era of films in terms of people's enthusiasm for them. We don't know what's on the other side of Tom Breevort jumping onto the X-Men. So we can't. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, just if it's the next year, right? Just the resolution of Gillen's story prior to Tom coming on.
Right. Yeah, that's all we can really say is that, that the stories that are being told will resolve. And then who knows? Someone said, Dan said, like, what if 6 months from now Kieran Gillen's tight because he didn't get to tell his story. He didn't get to finish it out. These things do happen as well. Who knows?
Surely you plan an exit though, right?
Yeah. Blue Spaceman says it's assumed Breevort will bring a back to basics approach, but that may or may not be right. And that's exactly why I brought up earlier what kind of energy will Breevort bring to the role, because we can't even say what kind of an editor Breevort is. We can't say he's a rebellious editor who's going to want to go against the grain and really do things differently. But we also can't say he's going to want to go back to basics because we've seen Tom do a lot of different things during his tenure with Avengers. They took a lot of risks. They took a lot of risks between Disassembled and Civil War. And I think it's really easy to look at comics now in 2023 and say that Civil War wasn't a risk. But I think it was.
Yeah.
And he was at the tippy top of that. So.
And again, like I've said, getting those pieces looking in the same direction,
Yeah.
Right. And quite frankly, I trust Tom Breevort. I trust that he's the type of editor who's going to do what's right for the line, not what's right for him, not leaning into a style that he has. I think the reason why he's the chosen one is because he is an expert at dealing with large-scale, money-making product lines and getting the best out of the creators and doing what's best for Marvel. That's why he's in this position.
Yeah.
Or to the point of the history of the Avengers under him, like variation.
Yeah.
And openness to that variation and seeing that play out. To the conversation we had with Heather the other week, she's not there. The editor's not there to dictate their story, but to help craft and help refine the larger narrative. And so I think, to that point, he's the guy. If they have had so much variation in Avengers.
Are you guys... Is this the right thing for Marvel to do? Without being able to, cast out a year, 2 years from now and say what the result was without having access to that, without knowing if Krakoa will end, whatever, is the right decision to bring Tom Breevort to the X-Men?
I think it addresses it on multiple levels. Yeah. Makes sense.
I think in terms of getting someone who can do the show running without having to write titles at the same time and can organize absolutely everything, assuming that's what's going to happen, I think, yeah.
I love what you said. Yeah. Having to being the guy who kind of show runs without having to also write the books.
Yeah.
I like that.
That is what makes the most sense to me based on what they were trying to do in the Hoxpox Krakoa era behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, you know, I don't know what Jordan White is doing, and I don't mean this as an insult. I don't know what he's doing in that things are so disparate, things are so, you know, uncohesive. They need someone, again, like I've said, to get everyone looking at the same thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think he'll be great for that.
When you got a guy like Jonathan Hickman who comes in with this big idea, you don't necessarily need a Breevort overseeing that. You can get a Jordan D. White who is a veteran. I'm not disparaging White, but like you don't necessarily need the top guy when Hickman has such a clear vision. But you know, he left, and you know, we all have our feelings about where things have been. So,
well, and that said, maybe we're giving Hickman a little bit too much credit. You know, he had this clear vision and this clear look forward as to what he wanted to do. But his next event was X of Swords. And the stuff that was sort of coming from, you know, the X-Men at the time was sort of all over the place. And then X of Swords happened and it all kind of flopped.
That's a good point.
So
that was rough.
Maybe this situation isn't quite as successful as we want it to be. You know, maybe we're thinking about Hickman in rose-colored glasses.
But you know what's funny? I would challenge that if you went back and read Ten of Swords, not that you would think it was good, because that's insane, but that you might think that the Hickman written parts were good, which I think we said back then.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
100%. Yes.
And that's the problem, is that Hickman couldn't write it all, but they couldn't allow the only X books to be the ones that he wrote.
Right, yeah. And I think that's the hard part, is letting your children frolic in your garden. You know, some of them are going to pull up weeds.
Hey, I got a bone to pick real fast because I'm looking at the amount of likes that we got right now, and I'm trying to figure out if you guys know what show this is. This is the Comics Pals. You know what we do. Let's get those likes up. We got a draft coming. I'll explain the theme of the draft a little later. I think you'll like it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So let's get those numbers up. We're doing a likes goal of, let's see. We can do what?
Let's do a weird number. Let's do 27.
Ooh.
Sounds good. We'll do 27. I don't care when you're listening to this show. If you're listening to this show and Krakoa is over already, I want you to smash that like button.
Smash it out of respect for what we had.
Yes, absolutely.
Pour one out.
Pour one out. Your like is a pouring one out for Krakoa, but don't do it on Krakoa because Krakoa is a living island, and that's rude.
That's a great point.
He's gonna say something. He's gonna. There's also a poll coming out of that conversation. Is Tom Breevort becoming the ex-editor the right move? So let us know.
Yes.
Want to hear your voice.
Yes, please do let us know.
Currently 93-7. So
I want to know who that one is. I want to know who that man or woman is. I want to know that person. Reveal yourself. Oh, Dan says I reject your peer pressure. Oh, that's probably a response to my command. Yeah. Yes. To me, my pals, smash the like button.
Nice.
Let's get it. Fun conversation. Love the X books. Always will. I've been an X-Men fan since the animated series. It's very important to me. I think probably pretty much everyone has a special connection to the X-Men. And I think that's why this is such a big deal and why it's such a big deal that they'll be coming to the big screen soon.
Yeah,
Soon TM, by the way, because we don't know how soon is. That shit could be, we could be here in our fucking wheelchairs talking about some X-Men.
We will be.
Yeah.
Be as old as Kale. Do you remember Krakoa?
I don't remember what I had for breakfast.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, I was just like, what'd you call me?
Well, you know what else? I want to talk about Patreon. I want to talk about patreon.com/thecomicspals, which, if you enjoyed the conversation that we just had and you're excited about what's to come, I think the best way to do that, the best way to support us is to join us on patreon.com/thecomicspals and come hang out with us where we are always giving you more bang for your buck. We have a great time over there. I think the people that are on our Patreon page enjoy what we post over there. And we've got a little legion of our own over there. We're building a little Krakoan island of pals over on Patreon and everywhere else as well. I don't want to. We're not just like the X-Men. All pals are welcome. We're not exclusionary, but
Even the villains.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
Hold on.
And
Based on last week's episode, who are our villains? Like, we might have to polish this metaphor a bit.
We're going to talk about the villains that you're talking about.
maybe not
bit.
Orcus.
No, well, close. In fact, quite frankly, I think Orcus has more of a point. So, but I one of the things that you get, one of the perks you get from our Patreon page, in addition to an exclusive show over there, in addition to the book club poll, in addition to the newsletter, lots of great stuff. The other thing that you get, though, is a nickname and a shout-out on this here very show. And I want to, with that, give a special shout-out to the very best pals in the universe, Thunderstruck, Rebecca Alejandro, and the Hound of Justice, Atomic Hound. And, of course, thank you to the Night Stalker, Harris Nijinsky, Brian Demolisher Del Pozo, Kefis the Incorruptible, Momentum Mike Elliott, Starcross Catherine Stars, Dan the Truth Trudeau, Joel Justice, Jalen the Sanguine Sorcerer, Neon Knight the Cosmic Avenger, Super Shenran the Conqueror, and Marvelous Mike N. McKenzie. Thank you all so much for the support. It means the world to us. And, behind the scenes, this isn't something we talk about that much forward-facing, but behind the scenes, you guys are allowing us to do some really cool things. And it only gets better. And you'll see more of the fruits of that, in the coming time. But rest assured that we really appreciate all the support, and it does matter, and it does help out. So thank you guys so much. And obviously, people who don't support us on Patreon, it's totally fine. It's an additional thing. We appreciate everybody that watches the show, everybody that supports us in any form or fashion. You guys are the best fans on Earth. So thank you.
The Discord is free.
Yep.
Like, come hang out, come chill. The Discord is free.
Yeah.
We had a community event
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago, and it was a blast. And non-patrons were there, just like patrons, just like we were, and it was a fun time. So
Yep.
come chill. If you want to come chill with us live, you can do that every single Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern, Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern for Pals Polls. The poll, the listener poll for Pals Polls has moved. It is officially now a YouTube staple. Why? Because a lot more of you vote there than we're on X.
Yeah, boy.
So that's been a lot of fun and very cool. So if you are a YouTube listener, make sure that you vote in the poll. You can find that in the community section of our YouTube channel. If you're not a YouTube listener, you can still head to YouTube and vote in the poll. It's free to do. And it gives us more of an idea of what you want us reading. Now we can kind of see, like, what does the audience want? And I'm paying very close attention to the poll this week because Amazing Spider-Man number 32 is in it. And I said, if you want us to review Spider-Man anymore, you guys have to choose it. And right now, you're not.
Whoa, this feels like a campaign. Easy,
No,
bud.
no campaign involved.
Okay.
I'm just spitting the facts. I am saying what it is. If you guys want us to be talking about Spider-Man, then you gotta choose it.
Ooh, Jean Grey's not even on this poll. What's going on?
Oh, because we're reviewing Jean Grey.
That
in
was
the
outright.
episode.
That was
Come on.
outright chosen.
Killing me. I didn't even get a chance to vote against Jean Grey.
No. I would never leave it to a vote.
He would not risk that.
No. It's been
Don't want to lose. Don't want to lose. Make it so you can't.
the meme would be too strong. The goal would be to deliberately prevent it from winning. So
I would definitely campaign for that.
Oh dang! But do you know what's winning right now?
yeah, Penguin
Yeah, hard. Need those numbers up.
for Penguin.
Well, for Amazing Spider-Man, if you want to review it.
Yeah. Vote for ASM. I'm not trying to, I'm not
Hey,
trying
no
to sway
campaigns.
votes. Yeah, no campaigns. No campaigns.
No campaigns.
No campaigns.
We're already doing Jean Grey. My heart's out of it. So
Wow, Kale. Let's tackle some listener comments. Now, I didn't provide you guys with.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, so that's on me. But I will read the comments anyway. Clintaku Prime,
Good
ooh,
name.
what a name.
That's
right,
good.
left us a comment on the Heather Antos interview.
Uh-oh.
And said, that's funny. I really enjoyed this interview. Heather was an awesome guest, and it was great getting industry insights from an editor's perspective. The draft at the end was a nice bonus. Great episode this week.
Hey, thank you.
Oof. Wow.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, I haven't listened to all of it, but one great work.
Thank you.
I was immediately engaged, almost as soon as she started speaking.
Yeah, it was good.
I hope we can have her again because I would love to pick her brain and listen to her speak. Like, yeah, it was great.
Even before the show, really just cool person.
Yeah. And I definitely think we'll have her on again. I'd be really surprised if we didn't. She seemed to have a great time and was very expressive about wanting to come back. So,
Sick.
some of you will know this, some of you won't, but we had a very interesting week. Very interesting weekend post Heather Antos interview. We had some unexpected guests who decided to invade our space during the interview.
Orcus attacks, dude.
Yeah.
Just like the gala.
Yeah. We had our first run-in with Comicsgate. I don't
The big
mind
ones
saying it.
too.
Yeah.
The big ones. We got the head honchos.
Yeah. Some of the head honchos. Oh, there's one right there. That's great.
Wow.
No
Yeah.
way.
I-
That's crazy.
I'm not going to honor reading that comment, obviously. And quite frankly, I wish I could give you your money back because you're an idiot.
I won't give them back. That don't bother me at all. You can super chat all you want.
Keep it.
I'm not reading it, and I'm gonna take your money.
That's a good point. But that's their tactic. We don't care. You control us. You can do whatever you're going to do. We don't care. I think you're sad if your idea of what comics should look like involves following people around to harass them. I think that's embarrassing, quite frankly. And I think that if that's how you live your life, you need to get a better life and reevaluate yourself and figure out why you're such a hateful, sick person. Because that's what you are if that's how you live your life.
We literally 30 seconds ago just said how much we had a great time speaking with her.
Yeah.
Literally.
And this person is like here to dog on us. Like, what?
Yeah, and it's completely a waste of your life. You're only going to live one time, and this is how you choose to live. You should be embarrassed for yourself, honestly. And I wonder, like, what would your family and friends think if they knew that this is how you spend your time? Like, you're a fucking loser. It's so sad and embarrassing.
Spit at women, dude. Get out of here.
Yeah, that's so sad and embarrassing to live that way. Atomic Hound says CG presence validates you. Congrats. I agree with that, actually. I feel
Hard agree, dude.
let me tell you something. This was not a problem.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
a problem.
To be honest, I won't go too far into details, but we had to talk Tyler down.
Yeah. Yeah, we won't even get into that. But like, yeah, like,
Yeah. Like this didn't bother us.
Yeah.
And we have been we've been like you guys, a lot of you guys came around when we got onto YouTube, but we have made no bones over the 6 years about who we are and where we stand. Heather Antos, frankly, was one of our first guest gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say, at least for myself, but for the others, like our goal was to be able to have the type of community where someone like Heather Antos would feel welcome.
100%. And that's our vibe. So like, I have no problem establishing where, and none of us do, where we stand on issues like this. And we've always been clear. There's never been any question as to where we're aligned at. And
Yep.
I'm proud of us for our stance. I'm proud of us for how we handled that situation. And I'm proud of our community. And I'm proud of the fact that, we do have a community that's welcoming to all kinds of people. And I want to send a message, by the way. I want to say something right now. And I want to be extremely clear with what I'm about to say.
Get on the soapbox. That's it.
I'm not a token. I'm not a diversity pick. I wasn't brought here because of the color of my skin. I'm the fucking host, bitch. Figure it out.
He made this. Like, if anything, I'm the token. Like,
yeah.
We make it diverse.
Wild.
Yeah.
Absolutely wild.
But
Hello, amigos.
fucking waste of space. Let's get to another listener comment. We got one from Charles Santino, also on the Heather Antos interview, and I thought this was an interesting one. 20 pages might feel like a lot. It's not a lot of space to tell a story. That's a quote that Heather said in the interview. And now this is Charles. And that right there is what is wrong with comics today. Will Eisner did it in 8 pages. Brilliant masterpiece. So did EC. Take a look at, quote, Master Race. Mainstream comics used to do it in 20 pages and even a few less. The wonderful DC titles that tied in the animated TV shows were all self-contained stories in one issue. My own creator-owned comics have complete stories that are 2 pages, 4 pages, 6 pages, and the feature-length stories are anywhere from 24 to 34 pages. Today's mainstream comics are asking readers to hang on endlessly through rambling stories that go nowhere.
I'm glad you included this. Because I read this and I've been thinking and like sort of percolating on this one. I think he's right about a certain era of comics writing. Like that was the thing you would do in a spirit book by Will Eisner. You had your whatever allocation, you need to tell something in 8 pages. But I think we have moved on in the larger comics narrative environment, or like how to build comics has changed. And so you're totally right that you can tell a story in that length of pages, but what people push now, or what the narratives that are told now, it's larger than that. It's a fuller story, and I think you get not more fruitful comics, but you still get fruitful comics from that, right? It's not disparaging the 2-page, 4-page, 8-page, but it's saying, well, this is another format, and this format happens to be popular, and we're going to lean into that for the sake of larger serialized storytelling.
Right.
That's the thing. When Galactus invaded at the end of the issue, Johnny Storm went to college. Like, can you imagine that happening in today's storytelling environment?
Probably not.
Yeah. Like, say what you will about Bendis in 2023. In 2000, Bendis changed the game by bringing this serialized storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
It's all well and good to be able to make each issue its own story, but that's not what readers are asking for. Readers need more. Yeah. I'm not totally a fan of having to go, issue to issue to issue, especially for something that I don't necessarily like. I do think you should be able to pick up an issue and be relatively satisfied.
Yeah.
But, for a broader story, like that's not possible in these superhero storytelling mediums now.
Right. Yeah. Dan says it spits truth. There isn't one correct way to tell a story. That's all it is. And that doesn't mean that difference affects quality either.
Right. And like to the thing that Kale said about, Johnny Storm, going off to college after they beat Galactus. After Buffy and the Scoobies beat the Master, they had their prom or whatever, and they walked off into the sunset. After they beat the mayor, they graduated from high school, and they had I think there's room for all things, and it's about the way that you present the story. I think that a speed is lost when you do decompress storytelling and when you have that highly serialized storytelling. Yes, you're right about that, but I also think that comics are not in newsstands anymore. Comics don't have to pray for a passerby to decide to pick up that one individual issue and then hopefully come back for the next one. But if they don't, then it's the next passerby. And they're just wondering about that one individual person, and they need to make sure that this first comic that they might be reading is perfect for them. And it's not just first comic, it's first Avengers comic, first X-Men comic, first Spider-Man comic. I wouldn't want to have to write that way, personally. Yeah. Where you're keeping in mind that literally every single issue could be someone's first, and you have to craft your stories in such a way to appreciate that. I think that's tough, but
a lot of the time page one was, and this is where we're at. You had to catch people up because things had changed versus being dropped in the middle of a story and allowing yourself to navigate that and try to figure it out for yourself. I think there's some value to that.
Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting point. I thought it was an interesting analysis. Marowak Oscuro says, "Do you think that this narrative has killed single issues? To read a quote entire story, you got to pick up the trade." That's an interesting question. What do you think about that, Kale?
I don't know about killed single issues. I definitely think it's difficult to tell a full story in a single issue. Because in a certain respect, like an issue, I think should be an episode similar to an episode of a season of television. But often, especially in the case of Image number ones, it ends up being 10 minutes of the first episode of a trade.
Right.
So, I think it's really tough. There's certainly places where that works. We're getting a lot of horror anthologies now, and even a lot of anthologies now in mainstream stuff. Marco, what's the guy that did Ice Cream Man and
Maxwell Prince?
He seems to
be great example.
He seems to be doing a lot of single issue stories.
Yep.
That are working really well because they're self-contained. Or the Silver Coin. Something that's themed around a very particular thing, but can tell a single story, but seems to be telling a broader story, but they're all disconnected.
Yeah.
I think it's getting harder and harder and harder to get a full story out of a single issue, out of 20 pages, because it's nothing.
Yeah.
Hound and Dan, you two especially read a lot of the older stuff. I would be curious to know what the page count of something from 1960 is. If you guys could ask that, figure that out in the chat for me real quick.
I feel like it's probably about the same, right? No,
I don't think so.
24 pages now?
I feel my bet is we're looking at about 32.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll see.
there were definitely times where there were more pages. Like
There were definitely more.
yeah,
Yeah.
DC in 70. What are we talking about? The 70s, the same
Yeah.
time frame as what we did for the history of the DC Comics implosion. I mean, at that point, we were talking about 40 pages
Fuck.
for 20 something cents, something like
Oh,
that. Or maybe not 20 something cents.
We've lost so much.
Oh man. I did want to. Oh, Atomic House is about the same, 20 to 22 pages in the
Yeah,
60s.
that makes
Fuck me
sense.
then.
Yeah, fuck you, Kale.
Hey, okay.
Oh, sorry. It's, Streamlabs Automod. My bad.
So we are not reviewing Blue Beetle. We did not see it. And not yet. I think I might, but I don't know when, if I'll get to it. And normally, if I didn't see a movie in its opening weekend, I ain't seeing it. That's normally how I am.
You just fall off.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm poor.
Well, that's unfortunate.
I went and saw Ninja Turtles, so that's all I get for the month.
I wanted to see that too.
That looks good.
I have seen a lot of positive buzz about this movie.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think that this movie will do particularly well in the box office. If there were to be a movie that I thought was actually impacted by the end of the transitional period between eras going into the Gunn era, I think this would be the movie. Because Flash was not a good movie. I mean, in my opinion, anyway, and clearly the audience felt the same. And Shazam just didn't connect. No one cares.
That was good. That was pretty good though.
Completely forgot that came out.
I honestly, Marco, you're the only person I can think of that I've seen
that has gone to see it.
Has seen it and liked it.
Bro, the the number of people that I can interact with that go, oh yeah, did you guys see that one? No, I feel like I am a solitary. That movie theater, 7 people I want to say.
Yeah.
I had a blast though.
That's more than I would have thought.
Wow. And that's a shame. But you know, we're sort of getting into that area of superhero movies where it's like, is the character familiar? Do we know them? No. You know, go ahead.
That said, my mom was asking me about my wife's favorite comic book character. She tries to really work hard to figure out our Christmas presents. So I said, "Oh yeah, Captain Marvel." She went, "Captain Marvel?" I said, "Yeah. She red costume, blonde lady." She went, "Blonde lady? No, that's not right." I went, "Hang on, are you thinking of Shazam?" And I showed her a picture, and she went, "Oh yeah, that's who I'm thinking of." So,
yeah, isn't that so weird? Like you could say the Hulk, and they would assume a person, and then you could be like, "No, I meant Amadeus Cho. What are you talking about?"
yeah.
You'd be like one of 10 people who know who that is.
Yeah. Somebody's favorite.
Yeah.
Somebody out there.
I'm happy for Blue Beetle. I'm happy for the creative team and the cast and everything like that. I think Blue Beetle will be better served probably to be a part of some team going forward. But if the movie does well enough and they like the actor enough, I could see a sequel. What do you guys think about a sequel?
I want to see it first, but if it gets enough buzz and it's makes sense, it's worth it for them, give it to me. I'm happy. Quality. That's all I got. That's what it got to be.
Yeah. It looks like Blue Beetle made 25 million in
Opening
previews.
weekend?
Oh wow. It's not bad.
Yeah, 25, 27 million. That's opening weekend. That's the projection. 25 to 27 million, and it earned 10 million on Friday and 3.3 million in previews.
Okay, so
okay.
13.3 so far.
Yeah.
So they're pacing like 40%. Okay. Hey.
Word
Maybe
of
this weekend.
mouth could carry it. I don't know that anything is coming out next week. I don't know. That would knock Blue Beetle off its perch. I could see more people, more than 7. I could see more than 7 people deciding to show up to watch Blue Beetle if the word of mouth is there.
Yeah, for sure. And frankly, the word of mouth in the Discord's been positive as well. So that's gotten me more excited.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I want to see it. I have an AMC A-list pass, so, like, I can go for free. It's just like, do I really want to dedicate the time? We'll see.
Man says free movie and goes, I don't know about it, actually.
Dude, I don't even know if I've ever... Okay, I've read comics with Blue Beetle in them, but I never deliberately read a comic with Blue Beetle in it. So,
It's fun. He's a good character.
okay. You know, if you say so.
I do.
All right. Well, I want to talk about one of my favorite... Oh, no, actually, we're going in a different order. This is not one of my favorite things. This might be one of my least favorite things. Marvel announced a new X-Men event. Speaking of the X-Men,
Oh boy.
this one is called Sabretooth War.
What?
Sabretooth War.
Okay.
So you guys know how we got X Lives and X Deaths, and we got Sins of Sinister, and it's like that January-ish event that Marvel does with the X line.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
That's right. Oh, is that what this is?
that's exactly what this is.
All right.
Yep. And it's going to be taking place across several books. It'll take place in Wolverine. It looks like that's where it's going to kick off. Part 1 will be taking place in Wolverine 41. We don't have like all that much information yet, but it's going to explore. Yeah, I guess we know this. It's going to explore the decades-long Wolverine versus Sabretooth feud. It will, quote, shed new light on the dark history with shocking revelations behind their undying hatred for each other. Quote, it's a war decades in the making, and it kicks off when Sabretooth revives a deadly tradition with some of Logan's loved ones in the crossfire. Only this time, he has an entire army behind him. Get ready for the showdown to end all showdowns. Wolverine versus Sabretooth. It's been years since these heavy hitters have crossed paths in Marvel's universe, but as Krakoa falls, so rises Sabretooth, and he's out for revenge. They threw Victor Creed in a pit, and he's ready, and wielding an army of Sabretooths will prove once and for all why he is Logan's ultimate nemesis.
He's gonna kill Jean Grey again.
Please. I've been through enough.
This is-
Fine. Okay.
There's no heat on this. Like we've seen this before, and now he has an army. All right. Whatever. Cool.
Wow. Like, this is just not it for me.
Is this an X-Men event,
It's a,
or is it a Wolverine event?
it's a Wolverine event, just like X Lives, X Deaths was a Wolverine event. I'm sure that there will be some revelations that are somehow relevant to now,
Sure.
Yeah.
but they just have to get something out at that time frame.
I'm vaguely interested. I
Oh.
like Percy's Wolverine.
It's good.
I am interested in the post-pit Sabretooth, and I'm interested in the Percy Sabretooth. I'm not going to go out of my way for this, no. Especially if it's marketed as the Sabretooth War. Come on. Just make it a couple issues of Wolverine, then that's cool.
Make it a good arc.
Yeah.
Yeah, Victor Laval will be a part of this as well because he's got the Sabretooth stuff that he's kind of in the person spearheading the Sabretooth stuff post-pit.
Post-pit.
Hate my post pit.
I I just don't care about this. Benjamin Percy's great. Laval's great. Right now, I'm just not in the mood for a Sabretooth Wolverine event. We'll probably review it, at least some amount of it, and hopefully it can bring me in. But to be honest, I'm not actually reading anything that Benjamin Percy is writing right now, and I'm not sure why.
This Wolverine stuff's still pretty good. I'm backed up a few issues, but it's good.
The X Lives X Deaths thing really burned me on Wolverine.
Yeah, that was rough.
And it's I feel like that's a shame. Because I like when I, especially in Ten of Swords, did I call it X of Swords earlier?
Maybe.
I think I did. What an idiot. That quest that Wolverine goes on to find his sword, I think was awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I think if this will be a thing that sort of focuses on Wolverine and Sabretooth and maybe like the Wolverine family, that can be cool. But if it's a whole X-Men thing, I don't know. Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll see. We will definitely see. It's going to start in January, as I said, January 10th, 2024. It ends with Wolverine number 50, which is actually just ahead of the 50th anniversary of Wolverine. So the timing certainly makes sense. Cool. Marvel described Sabretooth War as, quote, the most violent Wolverine story ever told. Well, Marvel is also describing this upcoming story that we're about to talk about as the most notorious Spider-Man story ever told. We are, of course, talking about the announcement of Spider-Man Reign 2.
Okay, let's go. Finally here for some Kale content.
There you go. Unfortunately, my slide for Spider-Man Reign 2 is not working, but this is the sequel to one of the weirdest and one of the most divisive and controversial Spider-Man stories of all time.
Yeah.
By Carr Andrews, that dropped in 2006 and 2007. It was 4 issues. For some reason, I remember it being longer than that, but it was just 4 issues.
No.
But I think
Short.
I think the issues were a bit longer, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
And it's a bugged out, weird ass storyline that shows Spider-Man in the future. It's kind of like a bad dystopian future where Mary Jane is dead, and she's dead. Go ahead.
Well, I was to take sort of the before you reveal that it's sort of an Old Man Logan premise, but with Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and frankly, it's the only one I'll give credit to. I don't want to know about any other old man stories. I want Spider-Man Reign.
This was my first old man story, and I didn't even know that was a thing, although I guess it was sort of becoming a thing more so.
Yeah, you're right.
It's, to me, it's fantastic.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it the same way I like Dark Knight Strikes Again. It's buck wild.
Right. It really is. And when I first read it, I was like confused. I was like, wait, is this happening now? When is this happening? I was a teenager. But I loved it because it was so radical.
Yep.
And of course, the storytelling is fantastic. Andrews is a tremendous creator who I don't see enough, but I think that's because he does a lot of stuff outside the big two, and I've read some of that. But go buy Spider-Man Reign. That's a book club we got to do because that is a tremendous comic book. But we're getting a sequel. The cover image or the promotional image that they're using features Spider-Man with webbing on him, and behind him appears to be the body of Mary Jane.
Uh-oh.
Which is
Exhumed?
really
Getting that vengeance.
A zombie?
Ugh.
Should we should we talk about that? I mean, will it
I think so.
mess with what's going on forward?
Wait, talk about what?
You're talking about with what happened to Mary Jane, right, Kel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. You want to say it?
So, a big part of the reason, at least in Spider-Man Reign, in front, it's been a while since I've read it, but a big part of the reason that it seems like Peter Parker quit being Spider-Man in this Reign universe is because Mary Jane died from his radioactive semen. And that's what it is, man.
What?
So
What the fuck?
I love
so
it.
that their promotional image is a dead her coming back with Peter Parker covered in webs is just
Oh no.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Some real spunky marketing there.
But like, listen, genuinely, don't. Yeah, the book says fluids. Maybe I should have.
Yeah,
maybe I
which
should have.
ones? The sticky
Genuinely, the book it's wild, but it's a great look at Spider-Man sort of coming up out of Peter Parker.
Mm.
There's the old animated series episodes where he like fights his own suits.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that. It's almost like Spider-Man has to like alien come from his mouth,
Come out of him. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's trippy. It's visceral. It's harder edged. I don't think it's edgy necessarily, but I think that it's cool. And so with the sequel, we don't know much. We don't really know anything. I typically don't care for sequels in comics. I think they're mostly not very good.
Yeah.
But if everything else is going to be the same, if Carr Andrews has a story to tell, let's get it.
Yep. Especially that it's done by Cara Andrews. Like, I gotta show up for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Dan says it was saliva. Get your brain out of the gutter. Listen, man, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I see the word fluid. I think of one thing.
They never had sex. Like, come on.
Of course, yeah.
Those 90s Todd McFarlane comics, they never happened. Those aren't real anymore. Like, that lingerie model Mary Jane, no.
Dude.
Said no.
Yeah. I'm excited. I think this is going to be good. This is going to be the good stuff. Hopefully.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep this train rolling. Let's talk IDW.
Ooh. Some people's favorite.
So obviously we interviewed Heather Antos, who is the group editor in charge of licensed products at IDW last week. We're going to talk about another side of IDW, which is the originals side of IDW, because IDW Originals line is getting the axe. We learned there was some scuttlebutt about a potential IDW Originals implosion. And that came to fruition essentially last week when we learned that several creators started to come out on Twitter and talk about the fact that their books had been canceled, and that they had been canceled before we even got to see them. For its part, IDW really hasn't commented on this yet. This is all coming from rumor and innuendo. This is coming from the horse's mouths in some cases as it relates to the creators who have talked about, the status of their books. I think Will Robson was the first creator to talk about this on social media. And Will said, quote, "Well, this sucks. My creator-owned IDW book just got canceled midway through making it. I'm devastated. After spending years on the pitch, I'm truly gutted. This was a huge opportunity for me as a creator, and now it's gone. Guess I'm free if anyone wants to hire me.
Yikes.
Yeah.
We know who did it. We know the culprit.
Right.
Sorry, I'll drop the bit.
We'll kick you off. Don't even think.
That's terrible. That, especially thinking about, taking the time to have to pitch, taking the time to like develop the story, craft it with a person, right? It's not even at this point, it's not even an individual's story necessarily. It's a team, and that always sucks.
At that point, yeah, that's a team.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the question really comes down to why. And there's been a lot of speculation about what has happened. Obviously, we know that IDW has been through it over the last year and some change. In April of this year, IDW had announced that they were going to be reorganizing. They delisted from the stock market. They laid off somewhere in the neighborhood of 40% of their staff. There were a lot of adjustments. They promoted some people, laid off a whole bunch of people. And so, that's the status as of April. Of course, they saw success with, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Star Trek, which are doing well. The licensed stuff is doing what it needs to do. But the originals line, not so much. And the other issue, and I think this is at the core of it, is that they've got too many books. They have too many books to justify, or they're not big enough to justify the amount of books that they're publishing.
Mm.
And from what I read, from what's being reported, they had IDW originals for 3 years. Like they had 3 years worth of material.
Damn.
Jeez.
And they're trying to pivot into more licensed property, not less. So I think what's happening is they're making room for some of the more licensed stuff and cutting costs where it makes sense, which is the originals aspect.
It's a risk. To some degree, it's a risk, right? Because you don't know, you don't know that an audience will be built around those books to the same degree where you have a found audience with those licensed comics.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And it's hard. Like, more and more publishers are saying, hey, let's do more IP. And there's work there. It's not like there's not work for creators when you're talking about IP. But Will Robson, talented as he is, I'm sure that he would like his work to be his original, work, his original ideas, his IP that now doesn't have a home at IDW. And that sucks.
What sucks about it is it's cost efficiency. Like that's what it boils down to. And I don't think that's I don't feel that that's necessarily the company's fault. Like if you're gonna stay solvent, or at the very least you want to continue publishing comics, it's a hard choice. And that's what this was, I think, is a hard choice.
Yeah.
It's upsetting because you're affecting creators at the end of the day. But if you're going to stay alive, I mean, that's part of that risk.
Yeah. Top Lane says every single great IP started as a new one, and that's completely true and valid. But, when you're competing with things that have been around for 3 times like my lifetime or someone's lifetime, like generations have grown up on these things, and it's hard to beat that. It's hard to compete with that. That's why the Transformers license and the G.I. Joe license was such a tough loss, because there are people who will read those comics in perpetuity no matter where they're being published or who's the creator behind it, because they just grew up on that stuff and they're into it. How can you beat that?
Yep.
And frankly, like I think the heart's in the right place. Like even maybe only take great pitches moving on, like for sure. But then you have to balance this out. Like I'm publisher, and I have to say, do I publish, uh, more Star Trek stuff, or maybe see if I can win something with this creator? I'm gonna go with guaranteed sales, unfortunately.
And this is company politics, especially when it comes, a lot of companies like this, Boom doesn't have a very good reputation for their relationships with creators. It could very much be the attitude of, fuck them kids. You know what I mean? Like, if new and creative IP were such a draw, Marvel and DC would be doing it.
Or instant moneymaker.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, creators don't get into comics for, oh God, I'm about to say something so revolutionary. I can't believe it's about to come out of my mouth. Creators don't come to comics to get money. Companies do.
Right. I think that's
Right.
absolutely true.
You right there, Kale?
I am very disappointed I didn't quite get the reaction I was hoping for.
Oh, whoops! I thought that was a good point.
It is, yeah. And I think a lot of companies will be blinded by something like Ninja Turtles, something like Star Trek.
It's a bird in the hand, right? Not two in the bush.
I mean, let's talk about, the fact that if you look at the landscape of comics over the last 20 years, what have been the biggest, let's really think about it, right? And name the biggest successes that weren't IP, that weren't like established IP. And we can do it right now. You got The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
You got Invincible. You got Saga.
Yeah.
What else? What did I miss? That's it, right?
One
Scott
IP.
Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
What else?
And that's even maybe
about
because
it.
of the movie, but it's
Yeah.
still, it blew up. It's big. It's big enough. So that's it, though. What else do we have?
Yeah.
Naruto.
And it ain't coming from, manga.
Manga. That's where that's coming from. Manga.
And that stuff ain't coming from IDW.
Yeah. Yeah.
No disrespect to Oni, but I think they got lucky with Scott Pilgrim.
I think that was the right time for that kind of
Yeah.
thing, and it caught fire, and that's fantastic. But it's the point that I'm trying to make by bringing that up is that it's insanely hard to get your new IP off.
Yeah.
Insanely hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many creators have we personally spoken to who talked about the deal that they got with Hollywood, the spec deal, we've talked about that a lot with creators whose projects have been snatched up only to go literally nowhere. Development hell.
It's been Mark Millar's decade. Like,
Right. Even Rick Remender, Deadly Class was one of the hottest things at Image, and the show came and went.
Yep.
They couldn't make it work, and he's not really had another at bat. Well, he did they did the net. I think it went to Netflix. Last Days of the American Crime, and that
Oh yeah.
that came and went. Yeah, that was nothingness.
But some of those, even like Persepolis, people don't even associate with like comics.
Yeah,
It's strictly that was a film.
right. But the point stands. These things
Yeah.
are difficult to get over, and IDW is making the choice that they feel is best for them, and it's hard to fault them for that, even though I do feel really bad for the creators. That said,
I'll fault them for it. It doesn't bother me a bit.
fair enough.
Fuck them.
IDW did do a good deed in this. They gave the rights back to the creators, so
Good,
they can
okay.
go and they can shop this to other publishers.
It's wild that that's a good deed.
Unfortunately,
Word.
yeah. But we know what they could have done.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
It's such bullshit. We don't want to make money with it, but neither will you.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Loser take. Oh, is it no winner take all mentality?
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, Dan's right. Hollywood pays for way more than they actually produce. So many people have gotten, quite a bit of money off of those Hollywood holding deals that they do.
Mm-hmm.
So, giving a creator their creation, literal bare minimum. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're 100% right, but the age we live in is such that is something to be celebrated.
For sure. I was just looking at the site for what books were out this week. You got 2 Ninja Turtle books, Godzilla book, a Sonic book, Bryn Mawr, which was one of those originals. But that's it. But it's
One
the license
out
stuff.
of 4.
5, yeah.
1 out of 5 is a creator owned.
Yeah.
Well, better odds than I thought, to be honest.
Still though.
Marowak says, though they are from DC, well, you got Y the Last Man, Preacher, Sandman, 100 Bullets, and Fables. I don't know that I would say that any of those has reached the level of a Walking Dead or Invincible. Sandman's getting bigger now. Well, Sandman's not even from... that's not even a recent thing, but it's not from the last 20 years. But
Well, and Sandman has its own graphic novel, big, capital G, capital N
Right.
legacy
yeah.
that we're only just tapping into. Like, that was already a massive thing.
Right, yeah, Sandman. If it was like that, I would have said Spawn, but I specifically wanted to keep it to the last 20 years because I think it's gotten harder to do this. I think it's gotten harder to make something a hit. It's not just enough for it to be good. There's way too much stuff out there, and it's not just in comics; it's everywhere.
Yeah, there's a conversation around Jeff Lemire and his Marco help me. Is it the Phantom Road?
Yeah,
He has a plan for it to go 50 issues or something. And
I saw something about that.
yeah, and it's the conversation is sort of like, oh, is that too much in today's? It's like, well, I mean, he's Jeff Lemire. He's riding high on Sweet Tooth money. Like, even if it doesn't do great, he can probably still get his 50 issues, and then that story will, if it's bad, it'll disappear. But, by all accounts, it's good.
Why
Yeah.
can't Jeff Lemire get 50 issues? Rick Remender gets to do whatever the hell he wants, as he should, but as they all should. If you've reached that upper echelon, you should get to do what you want because people show up.
Especially at a creator-owned company.
Yeah, 100%. They're never going to say no to a Lemire or a Brubaker Phillips or a Remender. Those people have carte blanche.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think for something like that, you need to really lean into it, right? Because at some point, do the sales warrant the actual publication? And that might be a conversation, right? But I think otherwise, totally aligned. Yeah, give the guy, let the man cook.
If the sales are a fucking problem, why don't the companies market the fucking books?
Kale, it's not that simple. Okay, Kale, it's not that simple.
Says the dude whose whole job is marketing.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
By the way, go ahead.
That's all. No, I was apology accepted.
By the way, on the screen right now, I have a page from, this is a work in progress page from the title that Will Robson was working on. And I got to say, it looked really good. And that's just one page that he released. He released several. And it's good stuff. And I hope that this book finds a home. I hope they all find homes. I do.
For sure.
What I haven't seen, I've really tried, if I missed it, I missed it. But I tried to find out what this means for the originals that are still around from the first wave. Because you have things like the Dark Spaces books that Scott Snyder and Hayden Sherman were doing.
Right.
And so I don't know. That's continued. They've had several miniseries in that world. I don't know if that's going away. I don't know if The Hunger and the Dusk is going away, which is the G. Willow Wilson book. I haven't seen that, but yeah, we don't have answers for that I know of.
Just thinking about the G. Willow Wilson book and sort of the fantasy crowd that could come from that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had the same thought about is Dark Space, it's that firefighter book, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was thinking about walk with me here. The NCIS and CSI sort of, how they have all the spin-offs and your parents always watch them and it doesn't matter. They're all the same story.
Yo.
With a different, location and a slightly different old white guy in charge.
Right.
I wonder if IDW is going to market it that way.
CSI was legit, dude.
Oh, we're watching, and not by my volition. We're watching NCIS New Orleans.
Whoa.
Oh, okay.
Scott Bakula in charge. And you know what? It's not bad. I get it.
You would. I'm hoping that IDW, that this is like a roundabout good sign for the company, because I have said this many times. I think that there are probably too many publishers in comics right now. I don't actually think the market is big enough to sustain all of the publishers that want to make money in this industry. And when you talk about, I think Heather said 250 titles a week or something like that.
It's a lot.
Yeah, or maybe I'm mixing that up, but I'm pretty sure she said that.
For like cumulatively, like all over the industry.
Yeah, it might have been a month. Maybe it's a month,
Yeah.
but that sounds low.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. There are more comics published than like most other things, like entertainment wise. I feel like it's probably too much, and they're not cheap.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, is that they're not cheap. So you have to be selective. It's not like frankly, it's not like YouTube, right? The amount of content that gets produced for YouTube on a daily basis must be in the millions.
Yeah.
But it's all accessible, and that's the blocker, it's the accessibility. And so
Right.
you have to really distinguish. No, well, you have to like really discern what you want to buy and be intentional with that dollar, and that's the hard part. So like, yeah, you'll have pockets of success for individual books or individual writers, but those are outliers to the average, right? They fall to a few standard deviations away from that median.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this a lot, and Sean, stop me if you want to have a broader conversation about this, but I want to take your thing a step further. The comic book market is too small for the amount of publishers we have. I think it might be too small for the amount of creators that want to come in.
100%. I was just thinking that. I completely agree.
And that may be a bigger topic for,
Definitely.
but I've been working at this for a decade, and I've not even scratched the surface. And I think people coming in trying to make a career out of it, it's like trying to be a big actor.
Yeah.
If you can work, you're already ahead. But to get to that point, like, you've got to sacrifice and sweat, and the world just isn't built for that anymore.
No, I have big thoughts on this one, actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll save that, but that
was good.
That is a topic that I would love to dive into deeper. We'll leave it there on the subject of IDW. Hopefully the creators land on their feet. It's worth pointing out that IDW does have an imprint called Top Shelf, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, maybe some stuff can land over there, or whatever. So, wishing the best for those creators. Now,
I think it's a kid-focused book or like younger audience, whatever. But
I promised a draft. We promised a draft at a likes goal. We hit the likes goal. So, I thought, in honor of the fact that we were called the Diversity Pals, we could draft. We could do a diversity draft.
Ooh,
And
okay.
so that's what we're going to do. We are going to draft a team of 5 Marvel superheroes, but the catch is that they all must be minorities. Might as well lean into it.
I don't know.
So, you guys know how the drafts work. We are going to do a snake draft. We'll be drafting 5 characters. They have to be minorities. And the winner of the draft will be whoever the audience decides wins. What's the metric of winning? Whatever you think it is. Now go ahead.
And this is just Marvel.
This is just Marvel.
Okay.
Oh, this is going to be harder than I want it to be. CW Gordon says X-Men Black does have a ring to it.
You got that damn right, CW Gordon. I've got my handy dandy dice, as you guys know.
Ooh, are these new?
These are not new. I just don't show them off because I don't actually like them. But we're the Diversity Pals, and we do something so boring that a certain other chat was doing it too. So the draft is so bad, right, that the other chat was doing it. We're going to do it, and we're going to show why it's a fun thing to do. I'm going to roll for Marco first.
And unlike that other chat, come join us. Toss in a diversity team.
Yeah, why not?
I am so uncomfortable with this.
Here we go. That's a 5 for Marco. Not
It's
great.
an L.
I'll roll for myself. A 10. And I'll roll for Kale. I'll show you that the one is a 1 and
The design is a 6.
Yeah. And for Kale, that's a 3.
Oof.
Right.
And just to show you, that's a 1. That is a 6.
Yeah.
Dan asks a great question. Do the mutants count as minorities?
Do all mutants count as minorities?
We're only talking about the kind of minority that would get you in trouble in real life.
The kind that Congress can't campaign against.
Right. Cyclops is not valid for this,
Damn.
unfortunately.
Hey. Jean's not either.
No. Not
She
at all.
might be, actually. She might be. There might be something to that.
All right. So the order is
So you go first.
I go first, then Marco, then Kale.
Right. Then Kale
Kale,
Marco.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, this is gonna be interesting. I will start. I'm gonna start with. I'll go. Damn, this is actually really hard. I'm gonna go with Storm. I'm gonna start with Storm.
Oh, that's a good one. Give me Falcon. Actually, no. Give me Cap.
Yeah. And then 2 from Kale.
Okay. My first one will be Mystique.
What is Mystique?
She's gay.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
somewhere on
Okay,
that.
all right. We can.
Somewhere on
Hey,
that
okay,
spectrum, whatever
okay.
her
I
sexuality
wasn't
is.
thinking about that, but yeah, absolutely.
Gotta use that old noggin. And then I will go. I could make an all-gay team. I'd have to fucking work about it though.
Wolverine. Well, what about the
He's got 2
rumors?
penises. He doesn't count.
Oh, okay.
You know what? Yeah, fuck it.
No.
Who's
No.
it? North Star.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's the one that got married, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
first big. Yeah.
So Mystique and North Star, and then it would be Marco's turn, right?
Yep.
Yeah. America Chavez.
All right.
Another gay character.
Also Hispanic. Kale.
Yeah, but that's not what she's known for.
I'm going to draft Darwin next from the X-Men. Do I go twice?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And I will also draft War Machine.
Oh, I was gonna go Riri.
Is that your pick?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
But you did too, right, Sean?
Oh, I didn't. No, I didn't do 2. My bad.
Oh, my bad.
No, that's good. I'll take. I want to take a really good one.
Easy.
I'll draft Miles Morales.
Nice. So Marco got Riri.
Yeah.
I will do Loki.
Oh, okay. Because
And
Loki counts.
For my second pick, I will also do Wiccan.
Wiccan. Okay.
I'm gonna do T'Challa. Black Panther.
You suck for taking him from me.
She got it faster.
You're right. Maybe over War Machine. Whatever.
I would agree.
So then that's me.
Yeah, and you'll do 2.
No, it's the last one, no?
Yeah, this is my last.
Yeah, but this is the last round. So you'll do 2, and then we go into the last.
Okay.
I will say I want to keep my theme going. Oh, perfect. Blue Marvel.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
I don't know what that is. Damn, I broke my.
That's a shame, Marco. That's a
broke my
damn shame.
Huh? Sorry.
You don't know who Blue Marvel is?
Maybe could have good book on the stands. I don't know.
Damn.
Dang it. Amadeus Cho.
The absolute surrender.
I couldn't think of another one, and I was trying to keep. I started with let me do an America theme, and then I realized I don't know that many American diverse like characters like that. So let me just lean into just like anything else at that point.
So this is the last one, right?
Yeah.
And just a clarification, that's the Hulk Amadeus show,
Hulk,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
This is the last one.
Yes. This is your last one. Yeah. Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
I should have one more. You know what? I can't separate them. I'm gonna go with. Oh, I can make a bold move here.
Do it.
I'm gonna stake my claim. Kitty Pryde.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's not
Yeah.
canonically. No.
Yeah. No.
No,
they
yeah,
went
she
there.
is. She is. Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
You know what's funny? I was so sure you were gonna draft Hulkling that I wrote that down.
He was I was like, I can't separate Wiccan and Hulkling. That would be cruel. But I want Kitty Pryde a lot more.
Well, dude, you fucking separated Mystique and Destiny.
Word.
Well, they've been separated for hundreds of years or whatever. Like, they're used to it. It's fine.
Unreal. All right. So these are the teams we've got. We've got me with Storm, Darwin, War Machine, Miles Morales, and Blue Marvel. Marco with Sam Wilson Cap, America Chavez, Black Panther, Amadeus Cho. Oh, wait. Who did I miss for you, Marco?
Riri?
Oh, Riri Williams, yes. Sam Wilson, America Chavez, Black Panther, Amadeus Cho, and Riri Williams, Ironheart. And Kale got Mystique, North Star, Loki, Wiccan, and Kate Pryde. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed the trend, but I went with all black people, and Kale went with all white gay people.
I mean, how many, how many is it? North Star is, I think he's Inuit or something.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong. I could be wildly wrong about that. Marco didn't even have the theme. What are you dogging on me
No,
for?
I started one. It was gonna be like these are all American, like this is America sort of situation, and then it quickly fell apart, and I'm just like I'm gonna pick some diversity. And that's it.
And also, Kate Pride is 3 identities.
As
LGBT,
Jewish.
she's Jewish. What's the other one?
Uh-huh.
There is another one.
You sure?
Where are you taking this?
That she's not just a white person. Thank you very much.
No. North Star is French Canadian. Oh, I don't know.
Oh.
He is, yes.
Black Adam wouldn't count because we were just doing Marvel. But
He's not black, so.
Otherwise, well, Black Adam is
Like Egyptian or something?
Kandaki.
yeah,
Oh, that's right.
a fake. He's a fake nationality, which, to be fair, Black Panther is too. But that's okay. Let us know who won the draft. Who do you think won? Was it Marco with the American but not team?
The no theme.
Yeah, with the no theme. Me with the black theme, or Kale with the white gay theme.
Come on.
Oh, this show is so fun.
I love getting him nervous about it.
What do you want?
It's so funny.
Like I'm not supposed to be.
Don't
Wait,
have
what
to.
about Doctor Doom? Oh, why? Wait, why would Doctor Doom be?
He's Romani. In Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Right.
And
right.
I believe Dick Grayson
Oh,
has Romani heritage. Yeah.
didn't know that.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Let us know who you think won the draft.
Poll
And there is a poll up, so if you're watching us live, you can vote in the poll. While we let you guys know a little bit about how you can support us over on patreon.com/thecomicspals. If you had a fun time with this show and you want to get more of us and you want to show that this is something that you enjoy, the best way to do that is by heading on over to our Patreon page and throwing your support behind the Comics Pals. Clearly, we're under attack. As you heard earlier, we even had one of them come say hello, if you will. So let's show the opposite. Let's show love. And that's not the only way to show love. There are a lot of ways to show love. And I think that's a message that I would like to end the show on, regardless of us. It's just showing love to the things that you love. Whatever that be. If that's this podcast, if that's Blue Beetle, and you want more things like Blue Beetle, the best way to get more of that is to go watch it. We all talk about what we want. We all talk about we want diversity, we want this, that, and the third. There shouldn't be 7 people in the Blue Beetle audience. You know what I'm saying? So, and I hold myself to task because I haven't even gone seen it. But yeah, put your money, put your love behind what you love. If you want to watch this show live, you can do that every single Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern, Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern for Pals Polls. Vote in the Pals Polls listener poll over on youtube.com/thecomicspals. Under the community tab, you will find the most recent poll, so you can go head on over there, vote for your favorite Spider-Man, and we'll review whatever wins. Come find out on Thursday. Join us on Discord. If you're a cool person, if you enjoy the kind of thing we do around here, our Discord server is a lot of fun. I think this week in particular, we had a lot of really good, strong conversations. Matt Murphy brought up some good topics and things like that. So, and there's more fun that's coming. We're going to be doing more community events that are Discord member exclusive, all kinds of stuff. So if you have been on the fence about joining the Discord server, hop on the bandwagon.
And all that stuff is free, by the way. Like we have the
Yeah.
Patreon, and that, that obviously costs money. Discord's free.
Yep.
We want you. We want you to come interact with us
Absolutely.
and be cool.
That's the only real rule. Just be cool. Be
Word.
cool. That's all. Dan says, well, I love the Comics Pals and its community. We love you too. Thank you so much. Kale, plug.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Comics Pals. You can find me on Instagram at TotoInTow. That's TOTOINTOW. You can find my work at kilward.com. That's CLEWARD.com. Or if you have a very well-trained pigeon, make sure and send them my way because I will respond to that.
Kale, what's your X handle?
Oh, I don't have X.
What do you mean, Kale? You don't have X? You're not on X? Why are you not on X?
Bro,
Homie,
what?
I want no part of X. I don't even want to be on Instagram. I don't want you to contact me. Stop talking to me.
Well, Kale, you should be open to all communication. You should be on all social media platforms so that people can get at you whenever they want to.
Not interested. I don't listen.
Tisk.
I'm open to one person, and that's my wife. And you know what? That takes some work. So y'all gonna have to put in some effort.
Is she allowed to
Yeah.
message you on social media?
No.
No, she has the sending stone in her hand.
She came in and kicked the door down, and that's why we were married.
Fair enough.
You, yes.
That's right.
Marco?
Follow me on X, on Instagram, Threads. I'm not on. I mean, I have it, but at Mr. Marco Animoto wherever you can. That's it. Come talk to me. I'm open to it. Unlike a certain somebody.
I am on X and Instagram only at Sean Soapbox. Come talk to me about your good opinions about things like wrestling and UFC, which I'll be watching tonight. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you. We love you. Until next time, we are the Comics Pals signing off. Take care, guys.
I won the diversity poll. The white guy won the diversity poll. Let's go. See you next week.